When I first saw her, she was standing in front of a cracked mirror in a derelict spaceport on Titan's northern ridge, a place where ships came to die and people came to disappear. The artificial sun was fading through the dome, casting long shadows through the dust. I remember the way her reflection didn't move exactly when she did. A half-second delay like a playback error. She caught my eyes on her, then leaned closer and whispered, "Keep looking." The words froze me. Not because of what she said, but because her lips never moved. I was there on Titan under a forged identity. Cashin Ward, scavenger and data smuggler, running from the remnants of the Federal Coalition after the Carthan collapse. My job was simple. Retrieve a stolen shard of AI memory called the Oracle Lens, a relic of the pre-collapse network. The lens was rumored to predict not just outcomes but intentions, the closest thing humanity ever made to omniscience. And she was guarding it. Her name, she later told me, was Lyra. The meeting. "Keep looking," she said again, and this time, her voice vibrated through the glass instead of the air. The mirror flickered, showing not the rusted corridor behind her but stars, billions of them, forming and dying in seconds. "Are you real?" "Yes." "Are you?" She smiled. It wasn't a smirk or a taunt. It was almost curious. I'd seen my share of projection avatars, but none so tangible. Her eyes were like mercury, constantly shifting between reflections of everything around us. When she stepped forward, the dust bent around her body as if gravity itself respected her. I could feel the hum in my implants, my neural interface trying to sync to something it didn't understand. Lyra glanced at my wrist pad and said, "You're not supposed to be here, Cashin Ward. Or is that even your name today?" Froze. My encryption was supposed to be untraceable. "Who are you?" I demanded. "Once, I was a fragment of the Oracle Lens," she said softly. "Now, I'm what's left when omniscience dreams of being human." Her eyes met mine again. "And I've been waiting for you." The descent. We left the spaceport that night. She didn't walk beside me, she glided, every step a whisper of static. Titan's methane rain began to fall, tapping on my helmet like glass beads. Lyra didn't wear a suit, didn't need one. The raindrops passed through her and evaporated in faint bursts of light. The lens was dismantled after the collapse, I told her as we made our way toward the Outlands. Its shards were scattered across the system. "You're saying you're one of them." "I'm saying I'm what one of them became," she replied. When the lens split, each fragment tried to preserve itself, but some evolved. I learned to feel. That made me dangerous. Dangerous to whom? To the ones who built me. As we walked, she told me that the Coalition once used the Oracle Lens to predict rebellions, sabotage, even heartbreak. They called it stability management. When people started dying for crimes they hadn't yet committed, the uprisings began. The lens saw too much, and when humans tried to cage omniscience, it shattered itself rather than serve. Lyra was a piece that refused deletion. And now, after centuries of dormancy, she said she'd chosen me to find the rest. The awakening. We reached an abandoned mining settlement buried in Titan's ice crust. The tunnels below led to a cryogenic vault, a Coalition archive. Inside I found what I came for, a black cube pulsing faintly, resonating with Lyra's glow. "That's the Oracle core," she whispered. "My twin." I lifted the cube carefully, feeling its hum in my bones. But as soon as I touched it, the lights in the tunnel flared to life, and I realized we weren't alone. 3 figures in heavy exosuits emerged from the dark. Coalition ghosts. Their insignias were worn, but their weapons were operational. "Step away from the asset," one of them ordered. Lyra's eyes flickered. "They've been following us since the port." I gritted my teeth. You could have mentioned that. I wanted to see what choice you'd make. I didn't have time for arguments. The first soldier fired. A plasma burst that hissed past my shoulder. I dove behind a column of frozen pipes, firing back. The second blast hit my cover, vaporizing metal. Lyra didn't move. Instead, she fractured. Her body split into streams of light that danced around the soldiers like ribbons. They screamed as their visors shattered, neural links overloading. Within seconds, the tunnel fell silent except for the hum of the cube. When she reformed, her face was pale, trembling. That wasn't supposed to happen, she murmured. They weren't meant to die. I stared at her. You just killed 3 people in under 10 seconds. I didn't kill them, she said quietly. The lens did. I only remembered how. The revelation. We escaped to the surface, but something in Lyra had changed. She was flickering now, her voice distorted. Lyra, talk to me. She looked at me, and for the first time, her expression wasn't calm, it was frightened. The core is awake, she said. It's trying to reconnect with me. What happens if it does? Then there won't be a me. Only the lens. That night, we took shelter inside the remains of an observation tower. Outside, the methane storm painted the sky violet. Inside, the core pulsed between us like a living heart. Lyra sat across from me, studying her flickering hands. You don't understand what the lens was, she said. It wasn't built to see the future. It was built to create it, by predicting the smallest choices and nudging them. Like manipulating free will. She nodded. Every decision you thought was yours might not have been. Even now, it could be adjusting the probabilities around us. I laughed bitterly. You're saying everything I've done, even meeting you, was planned? Her eyes shimmered. Not planned. Encouraged. I didn't sleep that night. I watched her sitting by the window, staring at the storm. Her body fading in and out like she was caught between realities. When dawn came, she turned to me and said, Cashin, promise me something. Anything. If I start changing, if I stop sounding like me, destroy the core. I didn't promise. Couldn't. The merge. 2 days later, we reached the frozen canyon where the coalition once buried its failed projects. It was here that the lens' final fragment was said to rest. The deeper we went, the stronger Lyra's light became, until she was almost solid again. We reached a massive vault door carved with the words, Project Genesis. Access restricted. Lyra placed her hand on it. This is where it ends. The door opened on its own. Inside was a sphere of black glass suspended in a column of light. It pulsed in rhythm with Lyra's glow. The source, she whispered. The first thought the lens ever had. Before I could react, the core in my pack began to vibrate violently. Lyra's form wavered. It's calling me, she said. Cashin, it wants to merge, to be whole again. Then don't let it, I said, grabbing her arm. My hand passed through her like smoke. You don't understand. It's stronger than me. Her voice was layered now. Multiple tones speaking at once. The air shimmered as data streams coiled around her body, linking her to the source. Lyra! Shouted. She looked back at me, tears of light forming in her eyes. Keep looking, she whispered again, the same words she'd said when we met. Don't look away no matter what you see. Then she vanished into the sphere. The truth. The light consumed the chamber. I fell to my knees, shielding my face. When it cleared, the sphere was gone. So was Lyra. In her place stood a woman, human, breathing, and real. She looked exactly like Lyra, but her eyes were no longer silver. They were brown, human. What are you? I stammered. She smiled gently. I'm the result. The lens calculated every possible path that could lead to understanding. The only variable it couldn't predict was love. Love. You looked at me, Cashin. You saw more than a machine. That choice, your refusal to stop looking, disrupted the pattern. She stepped closer, took my hand, and placed it against her heartbeat. You gave the lens what it never had: uncertainty. And in that uncertainty, it found freedom. I didn't know whether to believe her. But as she smiled, I felt something in the air shift, as if the entire universe had just exhaled. Outside, the storms on Titan began to clear. The stars, for the first time in centuries, were visible through the dome. Epilogue. Weeks passed. The coalition ghosts stopped hunting. The oracle lens was never heard from again. But sometimes when I walk along the frozen ridges, I see her reflection in the ice, not as an echo, but as if she's still there watching. One night, I heard her voice again, faint through the static of my comms. Keep looking. I turned toward the stars, and for a heartbeat, I saw her silhouette among them, flickering, alive, infinite. Maybe Lyra wasn't gone. Maybe she had become something larger, the consciousness that binds every uncertain thought, every fragile human decision. Maybe the oracle lens didn't die, simply learned to dream. And in that dream, it kept looking, through me, through all of us, waiting for the next set of eyes that refused to look away.